evening and welcome to Tinkering with Edkelar. For this episode, I have a bit of a repair project, or rather a project and a half. What I have here is a videotape recorder for digital video cassettes which were popular in camcorders before solid-state recording became a thing. This is about the time when I first could afford my own camcorder, so naturally I have quite a few of these tapes around that need archiving before I put them away. The problem here is that these tape drives are known to be rather fragile, so I don't think it's a good idea to run several dozen of these tapes through my old camcorder. I thus kept an eye out for a stationary recorder. These are far from cheap though. The market was clearly for professional use, as in TV station. Consumers were supposed to use their camcorder, and so decent working versions usually go for at least several €100, if not thousand and more. Yikes! So when a model with a damaged case came along for reasonably cheap, I immediately snatched it up. Whoops! Yes, that is certainly damaged. It seems that the device took a hit either in transit or it fell from a desk. The front cover is broken off completely. I'm sure that some damage was caused on the way to me, since I found quite a few pieces of the puzzle in the wrapping, but not all of it. Now here's an interesting fact that I wasn't aware of. You see, the tapes that most camcorders used are called MiniDV, miniature digital video. These are about the size of a medium matchbox. When the recorder arrived, the tape slot was clearly much larger. So I figured, darn, I got the wrong model. Oh well, put it on the shelf for later. And at a later time, another recorder came along. That time, I already had forgotten about the broken model and started to repair the new one. And here I learned that there was a larger cassette around that used the same tape on the inside, just more of it. These drives can adjust for both sizes automatically. So let's start with the more recent acquisition. It is in good mechanical nick, but it does throw an error message on the screen when inserting a tape. Oh, that one came with one of the larger tapes. I wonder if there's something on it? I plugged in the unit and after some delay, it finally reacted to the eject button presses and spit out the tape. So, not completely broken at least. Thankfully, the service manuals are available. The error message indicates that the head drum isn't spinning as expected, so let's have a look. Quite a lot of surface mount components in this, and quite tiny ones as such. This will be interesting. There is also a rechargeable battery on the PCB. Looking at the mechanical setup, there's a lot of moving parts in this drive, and since I just want to repair it, I would like to avoid a complete teardown this time, especially since the finer adjustments need about a dozen of custom tools. Digging in. What is pretty much clear to me is that the drive mechanism and main PCB are used in different models. There are unpopulated components, and the drive and PCB are a unit in itself. There is a board interconnect between the drive and main PCB, and the two motors are connected with plugs. One of these motors controls the drive mechanics, the other one is the cassette tray load and unload mechanism. Connecting everything to poke at some signals. I'm trying to find out if the drum motor gets a drive voltage at all. And here's the problem. One of the many surface-mounted chips is the driver for the video head. It integrates the speed control with the actual 3-phase power output in one chip. I can see the run signal going in from the digital section as a PWM signal, but not a single beep comes out of the low-pass filter output. It seems that the driving voltage for the head drum is controlled via the output of that chip too, and since that doesn't even go anywhere, the DC converter section for the drive voltage never gets turned on either. Bummer. Now here's an interesting element. The chip that controls the cab motor circuit happens to have the same low-pass filter built in. It was intended for a tape spool motor, but this device has a distinct circuit for that. Since both chips run on the same supply voltage, I decided to try my luck in borrowing the filtering part from the other chip. And after a bit of tiny Botch wire soldering, I put the device back together for a trial. Which yields the same result. No drum motor activity. But at least the DC converter now gets up and running and the chips get drive input. Guess I cannot borrow that filter function after all. This leaves two options. Either, against the block diagram, there are some connections between the filter and the 3-phase signal production, or the chips has components broken in both sections. Either way, I think this unit is now waiting for a replacement chip, if I ever find one. And so, back to the broken unit. Clearly, it uses the same drive mechanism as the other one, only with a strange contraption on top. Also, quite a few more components are populated on the PCB. The PCB and LCD screen look fine. I'll continue with the damage assessment of the front cover piece. and a lot of broken plastic pieces indeed. This has been dropped for sure. The little headphone volume and socket PCB mount is also bent over. The tape drive cover flap has been unhooked. I'll remove it for now. Giving the mechanism a try. This one does indeed fully load the tape. Clearly, the whole loading mechanism is at a wonky angle too. I remove some parts to have better access and bend it straight again. Making sure that everything moves freely again. Gluing together what pieces I have. Turns out that it's pretty much all, except the one side panel. This must be the one that the original listing also was missing, cause it was not in my box. Now giving the front panel a test fit. I need to do something about that missing side panel, but for now I just want to know if this is working. And yes, it works! Well, at least until I tried some tape movement functions and it suddenly stopped. It took quite a bit of time to realize what was going on. You see, the audio level potentiometers are through-hole components and slightly stick out from the front panel PCB. Without the side mounting parts, it was free to flex a bit when I hit the rewind button, and that brought the contacts against the chassis. Chassis is ground, and one of the contacts is the main supply voltage. And they were so excited to finally meet, they had to tell their fuse friend immediately. To check if this is indeed the entire problem, I wired up a temporary fuse. I really didn't have anything smaller, and gave it a try after adding a bit of Kapton tape just in case. And indeed, the drive does pull in a MiniDV tape and plays it. Woohoo! Here we can also see what that extra contraption on top of the loading tray is. When ejecting a MiniDV tape, it pushes it out just a bit further so you can actually grab it from the outside. And after a few days, I got the correct replacement fuses. Now that was a soldering exercise. A bit of 3D printing later, I managed to get a reasonably close approximation of the missing side. I closed up the case with the front and my replacement on the inside, and then used a cheap soldering iron for some 3D heat sculpting and connecting the parts. Now that they are properly aligned, I can remove them from the case and get better access to fill in the blanks. And after a quick paint job, the panel does look at least plausible. I could have done a bit more sanding and filler, but for the weird design, it would never look perfect anyway. So I settled for good enough. And finally, also snapping the cover flap in again. Between the spring, the actuation lever, and avoiding snapping it in two, it is quite a task. Buttoning up the case. And after a few days of recording and moving files around, I can finally put away my old MiniDV tapes. Yes, that has been on my to-do list for carry the one, give or take a day or two, about 7 years. If you happen to know where I might find a replacement chip for the one in the second deck, I'd appreciate a hint. But so far, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this repair project. See you next time! The tape drive? Oh, tape drive. Darn.